I really do feel like no matter who you are, that we all reach a point in our lives where we feel as if we can hit a reset button, we would. We may be living with a lot of regrets, missed opportunities, things that we know that we should have done and we didn't. But I'm at the current stage in my life where I finally came to the realization that no matter how hard you try, no matter how much work you put in, no matter how much time you dedicate, you are still going to experience losses. You're still going to fail. There's going to be times where you may put in so much energy and you may dedicate each and every night to getting a certain result from something, and it just doesn't work out. And I feel like with me personally, this is something that's always just made me feel very, let's just call it odd, to the entire concept of just working and building towards something, because in reality, you just never know. But that sense of not knowing can also be something that gives you hope, because then there's the what if. What if things actually do work out? What if everything that I'm afraid of, conquering and reaching actually do play out in my life? So it's always pushed me to never give up, but I'm reaching a point in my life recently where I really do feel like I just need a life reset. I went through so much, things that brought me pain, witnessed and experienced so much trauma, and I was somebody that didn't necessarily know how to heal from those traumas and the pain that I may have experienced until most recently, where I started to really get in tune and get in touch with my true being. And one thing that it's taught me is the fact that it's okay to be human. I don't come from a very emotional family. For a lot of the people that watch my videos, you may also come from similar background as me, but I just feel like it's okay. Like, everything's going to be okay. It's okay to be a human being. It's okay to cry if you need to, if you're more of an emotional person. But, just hitting that reset and getting everything back on track is a must. And not only for me right now, but I'm sure it's probably a must for you too, if you're watching this video right now. And one thing that's so crazy about life is that we can literally spend so much time building and working towards something, and we have to let it go. Things simply may not turn out how we would hope they'd turn out. My entire life growing up, aside from, when I went to college and to the military, I spent probably middle school all the way up until maybe I was like 20 years old playing basketball, building my life into, this image of myself that I thought I was going to become. And that transition has been something that I still haven't fully healed from to this day, because it doesn't necessarily make sense to me how you can do everything in your power to get a certain result and still not succeed, if that makes sense. That's where shifting your perspective from this form of success and prosperity comes in. Not necessarily just viewing that direct end goal as success, but everything along the journey as stepping stones to get you to where you need to get. And that's exactly what I had to do. We all have trauma, we all have pain, man. But the thing is, it's not necessarily what you go through, the pain you endure, the trauma that you may endure. It's just you have to be conscious enough to not pass this on. There are people walking around this earth, and I'm very considerate of this, people that haven't been through what I've been through, people that have not been through what you've been through. So if we just take that into account and just be more aware, just be slightly more considerate, so that we don't put ourselves in a position to pass on this trauma or pass on this hurt, and focus on more so resetting, getting our mind back to where it needs to be, this is going to make the most difference in our lives. And I really do feel like so many people don't take the time to realize when they're at a point of mental or emotional overload. A lot of the times for me, it was emotional drifting into mental overload. So it stemmed from how I felt, and then it just corroded my mind, and everything like that started to just go berserk. And I had to reach a point within myself where, and I've done this most recently, I had to reach a point within myself where I had to ask myself, why is it that I was chasing a certain thing? As a man that was raised and ambitious, I am ambitious. I've always been a leader. I've never been a follower. I've always just been me, whether somebody agreed to something or disagreed. And one thing that I learned most recently is that when you're raised with this type of mindset, when this is just in your character to kind of be a leader and a high achiever and goal driven, this can also transcend into your relationships. Being a man, being somebody like me, I feel a burning desire to get a certain result out of things that I invest my time and energy into. So if I'm investing my time and energy into certain goals or certain things, I feel satisfied once I get to that end goal, and anything in between, it is not enough for me. I need to see results to feel complete. I need to feel and see that things are going how they should be going, and in order to feel that sense of accomplishment. And what I was doing that I didn't realize until most recently is that that desire that I had to get results, not wanting things to come easy and putting more stock into things that I actually had to work for, I was allowing this same concept to play out in my relationships. And that's just not how love works. That's not how dating works. That's not how anything to do, with any type of relationship would work or should work. So I've gotten to the point with myself where I started to realize that, if I would deal with somebody and it was too easy, the very fact that I felt like I didn't have to work for it made me feel like it was less valuable, just simply because I didn't necessarily have to put in the effort, or I didn't have to chase whatever you may want to call it. And I wouldn't even consider it chasing, but just not having to genuinely feel like I had to work for it. I would just treat it as less valuable. But I've recently came to terms with this entire concept, and I realized that as you grow up and as you grow wiser, you realize that it's more about what brings you that true peace and happiness. If it's safe, that form of safety, security, at a certain point you have to realize that this is exactly where I need to be. And that's what I did for myself. And not even just in terms of relationships or dating, but this has been my entire life. And I'm sure so many men go through the exact same thing, including women. So the most important part for me was just breaking those old patterns. It's okay to need that reset. It's okay to be somebody who is actually a human being. Like, I really do feel like we put so much time and attention towards surface level things that are not going to matter 10 to 15 years from now. The way people view us, being cool, the best clothes we can possibly buy, or, just maintaining a certain image to look a certain way to people that are not going to be there when you're at your lowest. It's not about money. It's about the type of person you are on the inside. And I gotten to the point where I've just been focusing so much on deep work to where I feel like I have this flame inside of me that nobody can put out. It doesn't matter what type of person that I run into. My thrill and excitement for life and living and everything that's to come is just so powerful. And I'm just so thankful that, I have this type of mindset, because I've gotten to the point within myself, and it took me so long to get here. If only y'all, witnessed or saw how I was when I was younger, it was a completely different story. I was super angry at life. I didn't know how to control my emotions. I was just a kid that, was just unhappy in a sense, because I didn't really understand my purpose in life. But as I work and as I grow and as I expand, treating myself like the human being that I am was really one of the most important things. It can be hard when you have a family to take care of, or when you got people that's relying on you, or even when you're just building to try and establish yourself in a way that is worthwhile. It can be hard to give yourself that credit and to look back like, okay, I am exactly where I'm supposed to be. I know that I have a lot of work to do. I know that I have things that I need to take care of, but I know that God has something in store for me that I am not aware of yet. I'm just going to keep working and to keep building to get there. But there's really been one major reason, aside from the couple of things that I've named, why I felt like me resetting my life right now is the best decision for me. And it's really just that form of realignment, understanding your old patterns and your old habits, but really breaking free from everything that's going to limit you or stop you from growing. That's what it's about. I feel like it's so hard for so many people to just take themselves out of their shoes and see things for what they really are. And if you can do this, it just puts you in an unbiased position. It puts you in a position to not think with your feelings or your emotions and how you may naturally react, but really make grounded decisions. And That form of realignment is a must. This is non-negotiable. You do not have to allow your past to define your future. We all make mistakes and we all go through things. It's about you being mentally conscious enough and aware that certain changes need to occur, and then changing them. We have to really lock in and set our 100% of our focus and our attention on our future and what's to come. This is our life. Why sit around wasting time? We do not have the time or energy to be sacrificing, especially if we're just not in the right mental space. So I had to eliminate a lot of those distractions, and I feel a lot better. And I'm still on my journey and my process right now, as far as elevating myself mentally and not repeating those old habits. But I know that even if I do make a mistake or I'll fall short, that I'm human, but I'm going to get up quick and capitalize off whatever mistake that I may make. So if you're going through something similar to that right now, I hope my little story can bring you some sort of peace or enlighten you as far as certain steps that you may need to take, letting you know that you're just not alone during your journey. I'm somebody that's going through it too, and I just pray for y'all, and I hope everything goes well. But if you made it to the end of the video, I just want to say thank you so much. It's your boy Blue Jay Tay. Drop a like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see y'all on the next one. Peace.